It's a morning. It's a morning. It's a morning. It's a good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Friday, May 9th edition of Morning Mindset. I'm your host. Morning Mindset. Wow. I'm all over the place. Makers, movers. How are we doing this morning? Thank you for joining us. Holy macaroni. It is, it's a day. It's a day. It's a day. It's a day. It's Friday, so that is a plus. This is what I love to hear. Today we are talking marketing on a maker budget. What's this marketing thing we're talking about? It's a continuation of conversations we've had, so we just need to go ahead and make this one. Now, if it's your first time here, a long time here. Here's what I need from you: who you are, where you're from, what's in your cup, what the weather's like in your area, and your top 5 things that you are going to accomplish today. For us, I've got artwork that I need to get approved, DTF that needs to get done, invoicing that needs to happen, and then we're going to build out a website. So those are the things. Those are 4. 5 is marketing. We've been spending at least an hour every day working on different aspects of the marketing side of the business and growing that. I know the goal was to launch and have everything the last week of the month. We might have to push that back. There was I can't go into detail of it. In fact, there's less than this many people. Yeah, there's just less than this many people in the sphere that know about this, and we don't know if it's an opportunity that's going to come to fruition or not. If it does, then that has to change how we're going to do stuff going into next month. So hopefully we'll have an answer next week. Then we'll know for sure. Yes, continue on the same journey, or if we've got to change some stuff up. So there could be some big news. There should not be any news. We'll see how it is, and we can go from there for it. All right. Make sure to check in. Yeah, did I say that? Yeah, I did say that. It's like 40 degrees here. It's chilly. It was a little chilly this morning, but it's supposed to get in the 70s. I'll take it. Peach vibe to drink. Too much rocking and rolling to do. Mr. Mom Week. Good times. What's up, Chuck? Good morning to you. Jerry, hi, Chuck. Good morning to you, Jerry. Good morning, Barb. North Central Minnesota, 61 and sunny. Barb's got 61 and sunny. I've got 41. Barb is 20 degrees warmer than me. And how crazy is that? Water in the cup, 5 things: invoicing, review production orders, embroider sweatshirts, work on laser patch dyeing, digitizing. Very nice. Linda, hey all. Good morning to you, Linda. Barb says hi, Chuck and Jerry, and hi, Linda from Barb. Linda's got 66 there in Central Texas with hot tea in the cup. Morning, Barb and Nancy. Barb and Nancy. Why does that sound familiar? From Jerry, hot cinnamon tea in the cup, cereal in the bowl. Very nice. Sarah, good morning to you. 46 and sunny, coffee in the cup. Hi, Sarah from Barb. Sarah, sunny in Ohio too. So nice. Tim's checking in this morning from Toledo. 46 out. Out to breakfast for son's birthday. Tim's a breakfast eating fool. He's been out to breakfast twice this week. I got a windshield to tint, but I'm waiting for it to warm up. Don't fit in the shop. Yeah, we'll run into that. Drinking Mountain Dew. Morning, Barb and Jerry from Sarah. Hi, Tim from Barb. Hi, Tim and Todd from Jerry. Oh, no, I was so hopeful. And Sarah, excited to see how it plays out for you. Yeah, we'll see how everything plays out. And it'll either work or it won't, and we're not going to force it. We'll just see how it goes. But yeah, that it should be. I should hopefully have more stuff next week. Chuck says currently 80, but feels like 85. Wow! At 9:30 in the morning. That's nice. Hi, Jerry from Chuck. And Barb says it's supposed to be 90 here on Sunday. Too hot for this time of year. Whoa! For real? Why? I don't think we're going to be anywhere. I got to look and see, because I don't think we're going to be anywhere near that on Sunday. Like right now, it says it's 50. Feels like 49 out. Let's see. Daily rolling through Sunday. Ooh, Sunday 83. Today 72. Tomorrow 82. Sunday, Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers, except Corey. She's not even going to be here to celebrate Mother's Day. She's down in Punta Cana enjoying that. And then 83 on Sunday, 84 on Monday, 80s, 80s, 90s next. Wow. And then Saturday, man, look at that. We've got some heat rolling in. Storms, whatever. We've got some stuff rocking and rolling. Wowzas. I didn't even realize that. All right. So we're talking marketing. We're getting some stuff. As far as the rest of the day stuff, we've got our mentorship call at 9:30. I've got a couple calls that I think should be pretty quick wraparound calls, just updates on stuff. Fridays I try and leave open so that way I can finish and tie up loose ends. That's today a website. It shouldn't take me too long to bang that up. That's a great thing about using something like Chipley. It doesn't take a whole lot, especially when there's not a whole lot of back end things we have to mess with. There's some logos, put it on there, be good to go with it. So I'm kind of, hey, we'll get this stuff done today. So I know I don't even have to ask because I know you could be just like me and say that I'll work on marketing later, right? That's what I'm telling you. You're not alone. Most of us makers focus on three things: the craft, the customer service, and the fulfillment. And marketing is kind of like that bonus task that if there's time left, I'll get to it. But the truth is, marketing cannot be optional. It's what brings in the next 5 orders when we're finishing the first. And so that's what we've got to do, right? We've got to work on it. We want to work on growing without burning out, because we'll do that. We'll break down what marketing actually is and how we can do it on a budget. And the one thing that I was talking with somebody about is what they were spending on things. Outsourcing the marketing part of it doesn't make you less of a business owner. It makes you a smarter one. You're allowing other things to happen that you're not comfortable doing. So let's get into it, shall we? So first up, marketing isn't a task. It is a system. All right. When most marketers say marketing, they're thinking of Instagram posts or one-off promos. But a real marketing service is that repeatable engine that brings in sales, whether you're actively posting or not. It doesn't. When we got to look at something is if it doesn't run while you're sleeping or away from the business, it's not a system. It's just a scramble. And so, when some examples of this, we've got an apparel decorator who posts to Facebook, 3 times a week, but never follows up with customers or sends out emails. When orders stop, so does business. And so what do they need? They need a better system, pre-scheduled posting, automated email reminders, retargeting campaigns. Those are all what's going to keep sales flowing for it. Got a laser crafter that we were talking to, and they said that, they do really well at the craft shows, but they're not really doing anything outside of that. And one of the things that we realized is they weren't even collecting any information at the craft shows. So, when you're there, we need to start doing that, right? Collect those emails. Why? We need to build that audience, because when that show ends, the sales vanish. There was nothing more for it. So what if they just had like a basic follow-up funnel? They could be promoting graduation gifts, wedding gifts without even leaving the house. New jumpers come in, sign, here it is, and let's get it go. So what we can do with this is, start writing down 3 parts of your current marketing system. Posting on social media, messaging customers, email lists, things like that. If it is all manual, you might want to consider an automated system or even just outsourcing it at all. We got to make this a lot easier for you to get done. And number 2, you can do it yourself marketing, absolutely, and it can work, absolutely, but it still costs you. And this is something that we have to do because, doing it yourself, it does feel free, right? But it's not. It costs you time, it costs you energy, and usually results are inconsistency, right? Because we're not sticking to that schedule. We're not doing it. We're like, oh, sales are down, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it there. I'm not running it all the time. It's there. The goal isn't, to outsource or send to somebody else because you can't. It's to do it because your time is more valuable doing things that only you can do, and that's running your business, right? We want to be able to run the business. Well, we were talking in this group setting that we were in, and they said, an apparel decorator, they spent 4 hours a week, and that was making reels, designing graphics, writing captions. Well, that's 16 hours a month that they could be pressing orders or following up teams and reorders. hiring somebody for that, and do your math. What does it cost to run your business? If it's $50 an hour, well, hey, $50 an hour, that's $800. That's $800 that you didn't get anything because you were doing all this, and could you have somebody else do it for you? So think about that. It could cost less in the long run to do it. There's things when it comes to, we want to build a following, but we struggle with things like pictures and captions. And so what do? We spend hours just staring at Canva, trying to figure out, what am I going to put in here? What am I going to do? So there's people that you can get with that can create that for you. So you can just outsource the content creation, and then you can focus on what's coming up: graduation, wedding season, reunion season. You can focus on those things. So the way to do this is to really just look at what you're doing and add up how many hours that you spent on marketing last week, last month, whatever it is. Do that time frame. Once you figure out how many hours, multiply it by what your hourly rate is. And if that number really surprises you, then you should start looking for some help. And some people, it might not surprise, and they're fine with doing what it is. But if that number really does surprise you, and you know that your time is spent elsewhere, look at it. Next up, does this make sense before we get into 3, 4, and 5? We good with this? Let's see where was I? Am I missing there? Tim was there. And there. And Sarah says, reaching out to local colleges for jobs, contract print pricing review, store builds, purchasing, WDDA stuff for market tomorrow. Yeah, Sarah's got all kind of on there. And Jerry says, Sarah, can I ask how you're reaching out to those businesses? Marketing, scripts. That's what we got to do. Because that kind of leads into number 3. Budgeting for marketing isn't optional. Like when we look at this, we budget for blanks, we budget for booth fees, we budget for our overhead. We really need to take that time to start budgeting for our marketing too. Even if it's just $50 or $100 a month, that you're setting aside consistently, that can help you grow faster and more predictably than spending zero amount and hoping for word of mouth. Now, word of mouth can bring in so much business, but if you're not asking for them to do that, it's a little tough, right? We want to make sure that we're asking for that to happen. So, somebody who, sets aside, $100 a month, that covers, a few boosted posts, a template subscription to places, email tools. When you get these things, that's the results are better. The consistency is better. You're reaching more people and repeat customers, who don't forget that you exist. Even something as simple as just, a monthly newsletter going out to remind people. We want to stay in front of the people that we've already sold to because they're easier to sell to again. If we look at something, where somebody knows that traditionally a show is slower, they're not sure how it is, hey, can we just maybe skip that one and use that booth fee and sign up to join up some kind of marketing program, mentorship program, some kind of template making system, something there that can really help launch those online campaigns that are going to drive more traffic to your website all year round. That makes sense, right? So as we're looking at this, is what we need to do is open up our monthly budgets and assign a line for marketing. And even if it's just $25 a month to start, that consistent investment is better than none. And you can always grow with your revenue. Hey, this is working. I can do this more. This is working. I can do this more with it. You don't have to jump all in and spend thousands of dollars a month. Start small. Work your way up to it. There's a lot of tools and systems out there that are in place for it. And you can get it done. Now, I know we've ran into this on outsourcing, and outsourcing doesn't mean you're not ready to do something. It just means that you're smart. There's a lot of things that we know other people are better at than we are, and we can make more money working with them than doing it ourselves. So hiring somebody to help with the marketing side doesn't mean you're lazy or you can't do it. It just means that you are working on building your business. And it's a real business, you know. And when you think about it, real businesses, they don't run every department alone, right? They've got people to run departments for them. You know, when you find a partner that gets your industry, you know, you grow faster with way less stress. You know, so there's different programs that are out there. There's different things to look at, but you know, you can join one, and it can include marketing help. You know, it can include templates. It can include sales calls. It can include meetings. You know, look through them. You know, we in our mentorship program, we offer a lot of different things for it. You know, and a lot of, you know, it's just a help to know that you're not alone with stuff. You know, we get help, you know, helping people build their systems better, you know, tweaking their offers with it, you know, launching campaigns. You know, there's a lot that can be done together that doing it alone would be really tough for it. You know, there's a few that a few that when we run through with things where you can go in and you can just, hey, I'm spending $700 a month, and here's my plan for everything. You know, you know, in that next 60 days, you have, you know, lead magnets, you have welcome emails, you have ad campaigns, you have consistent content that's you know, that starts bringing in a lot of those, you know, sales that you were looking for. You know, and something we can look at to help with this is, let's just write down 3 tasks that we hate doing or we regularly put off: social media, email follow-ups, ad creation. What is it that you just don't like doing? You know, those are the things that you outsource for first, and then you start to ask yourself, you know, what would it feel like to never stress about that again? Not not a bad thing to think about, not stressing again for it. And we want to make sure that we're putting things where they need to go, what we're doing, how we get from it there. And it's updating things and doing it that way. Let's see. Sarah says, I have a contact at the local college. I wanted to give them blast out a seasonal position I'm hiring for. Oh, yeah. That's what you got. Gotcha, Sarah. Thank you. And Barb says, most of her business is word of mouth and comes from her Google business page. Yeah. And like that, the Google business page is free. Update it. Put your pictures on there, get your reviews, do everything with it. Tim's a great one on his one, you know, on the reviews that come through with it. And why? He's got a system in place to ask for it. How does that 50 or 100 best spent on Facebook marketing? It depends on what you're going after. Remember, when you're creating these things, we could spend $100 in 10 minutes on Facebook ads. And if you don't know who your customers are, you're just blowing money out. That's the biggest thing when it comes to ads. If you're not putting the right message in front of the right people with the right offer, you're just wasting money on it. You know, so it's, what can we do? How can we build our systems for it? And a lot of this helps when you're able to do things and stay consistent with it. You know, stay consistent with emails, collecting those emails, putting those things out there. You know, putting things out there. You know, if you are like right now, graduation, you've got a limited window that you can do stuff. Here's what it is that we're doing to this point. All orders have to be in here, and then we go to the next one and go from there. And that's how ad sets work. Think about, you know, back in the day, you know, we used to get Sunday newspapers that had ads in them, and those are everything that was on sale this week. And each week, a new newspaper would show up, and a new ad would show up of what was on sale. That's what we'd have to do in this scenario. You know, if you're going on that seasonal type thing, is you're creating different ads all the time, you know, unless you are a singular thing and that's it. Like, say, laser tumblers, right? Okay, laser tumblers, that's the only ad we're going to run. That's the only thing we're going to focus on. It's a lot easier to get at that because here's the people we're going after. Here's what we're continuously building for. We can tweak that design. We can tweak the message with it. We can test out various things on it. We spent thousands on Facebook and brought in hundreds. We've spent hundreds on Facebook and brought in thousands. It's finding the right people for the right thing. And those are singular products that we're looking for, you know, and how we can make it from there. Barb, do you put ads in Google? Oh, you know, she's just right there. Nope, I don't do ads. She puts it on. She has the Google business page. And it's just a lot of that is staying consistent with it. And Barb brings up a great thing. I think you need to be careful not to become marketing poor. I understand the investment, and most, depending on an area, aren't needed. Just my opinion. And that's the thing, is that where there's different thoughts and scenarios around it on which one it is. Yes, this is where that budget comes in. Hey, I can afford to spend this amount each month. Don't go spend $10,000 on a month if you don't have $10,000 to spend. Don't spend anything you don't have to spend. Don't spend anything that you are going to put you in a spot for it. There are things that you can do, but when we start valuing our time on things, we have to look at that. Is my time better spent on the creative part of it, on the design part of it, of the manufacturing part of it, or spending the hours on things that we really know nothing about on it? And that's something we got to look at. I do not like large production. Well, what do you want to do, Jerry? That's what we have to do, is what do you want to do? We asked you that the other day, when we're setting these stuff up, you were going through your website, what is it you want to do? We have to define that, and then we can figure out where to go from there. And Sarah said, Jerry, you could partner with a local bigger decorator and ask them to send people looking for smaller orders to you, and you can send the bigger orders their way. Yep, that's one way to do it. Why we were growing rapidly, that's what we did. Absolutely, Sarah did that. Sarah, I tried that in my past, and they solicit my clients constantly. You need to find better people to work with for it. And because Sarah said, partner with ones that don't take small orders, and they will want a place to send their customers that can help with smaller runs. Absolutely, a good, reputable, larger place. They don't want orders under 48 pieces. 72 pieces, 144. Some might go 24. Just depends on what it is, but that's where you can fill that niche for it. Okay. Tip number 5 is we don't need more followers. We just need more strategy with it, right? Because the goal of marketing isn't to get more likes. It's to get you more leads, better conversions, and customers who stick around. You don't need to go viral. You just, need to stay visible. You need to stay relevant. And helpful, and that's what a good marketing strategy does. Somebody that has 500 followers, consistently promotes pre-orders, emails their list, and they book stuff all year round. Their followers buy because they know what they offer and how to get it. You're constantly putting things out there. Another one, somebody has 10,000 followers and no strategy. So they post randomly, they run out of ideas, and they wonder why engagement is down. A marketing vault with content ideas and templates could save them hours and loads of stress. I'm not saying we have a marketing vault, but we do. We just drop that for our mentorship people, for them to review and see what they think of it. There's 3 to 5 posts every day in the month of May that they're able to use in there. And that's part of what we're going to have in our mentorship program, that you're there for that. You can buy it standalone. You don't want to join, great. You can join. That's part of it. You have it there, and it's relevant to what it is. I think everybody's been happy with it. If you've in the mentorship program and you've looked at that, let me know in the comments what you think of that. So here's what we need to do is we need to ask ourselves, what's our goal this month? And if our marketing isn't pointing directly at that goal, it's time to rethink the strategy for it. We don't want to chase followers. We want to chase clarity. We want to know what we're doing. So when we're wrapping all of this up, marketing doesn't need to be, complicated or expensive. Just needs to be consistent. Whatever you do, you need to be consistent with it. And it doesn't matter if you're doing it yourself, you're outsourcing a few parts of it, or you're handing it entirely off to it. Building that system is the best investment that you can make in your business. Like I said, doing it yourself, outsourcing some of it, outsourcing all of it. You need to be consistent. You need to have it there for it. So, when we're going through it, recapping it, marketing is a system, not a last minute task. Oh, I need sales. Let me just throw something out here. Even if you do it yourself, look how much time you're spending on it, because it still costs you in time and energy doing that for it. And that's where we can keep track of it and see if it's worth it on it. Even if it's a small budget, it still makes a big difference. In a lot of this pay to play world, things aren't getting seen unless you pay for it. That's how it is on Facebook. That's how it is on Instagram. That's how it's getting a lot closer to that on TikTok. If you're not spending it, you're not seeing it. And when it comes to outsourcing, it doesn't mean you're not ready. It just means that you're having somebody else do something that you're not able to do or want to do for it. And when figured out, strategy, is better than just no strategy. That's it. We got to have strategy over no strategy. So hopefully that helped out some people, gave you some ideas on things. I'd love to hear your questions, comments, and concerns down below so we can look into that. We will be back Monday. We do this every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So make sure to like and subscribe. And most importantly, share, because that's what helps this thing get out there for it. Let's see, what do we got here? Brian's checking in. Likes mean they see you and can become leads too. Sharing is like a song on the radio. They don't see every post, so post more. Absolutely. And that's, I say, post as much, 3-5 times a day. Get everything out there for it. So that way you can get as much out there. And don't pay attention to the stupid important notice, notice of non-compliance with community standards. Here's what you're going to, those are all BS things that you get from it. It just doesn't work that way. So, all right, with that, we're going to wrap it up today. We got our mentorship call that starts in a half an hour. I've got other stuff I've got to work on for it. It is, she sent me a text. I'll get right off here, Corey. As you're enjoying the sun, the pool, the drinks, whatever you're doing at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Friday in Punta Cana. All right. So everybody have a great weekend. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. If you're here, you have a mother. That's just what it is. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So happy Mother's Day for the ones that are out there. Hopefully, Steph, Corey, happy Mother's Day. You're in Punta Cana. So we'll see you Tuesday when you get back. So until next time, peace, love, press on. We'll see you then.